CBSE Board, Class 9, History, Chapter 1, Part 12, Audio by Rennie Matthew. We saw that so much of expectation was there on the great Emperor Napoleon, but people saw that he was so interested in expanding his empire beyond France, and we should see whether he really worked without oppressing the people. But you should remember that his reign was remembered all around Europe, and it influenced many people across the world. Even now we remember him as a great emperor. But what happened after that, whether it was oppressive, whether people really enjoyed it, we have to see that. But soon the Napoleonic armies came to be viewed everywhere as an invading force. So people just saw it as an invading force which was so oppressive, and he was finally defeated at Waterloo in 1815. So here we can see that it's written in words so easily, where he just took over the empire and then he was immediately defeated. It looks as if he was defeated immediately. It is not like that. He was defeated after much toil, and it was not very easy to defeat such a great emperor. Many of his measures that carry the revolutionary ideas of liberty and modern laws to other parts of Europe. I told you earlier that it just influenced many people around other parts of Europe also. It had a great impact on people long after Napoleon had left. So when he left the throne, he actually left his footprints. It is like people just remembered him for the way he ruled. The ideas of liberty and democratic rights were the most important legacy of the French Revolution. So French Revolution taught the world these three principles, that is liberty, fraternity and equality. So even now when we study any branch in the world, these ideas emerged. It set its spark from French Revolution, and these spread from France to the rest of Europe during the 19th century, where feudal systems were abolished. So French people were totally against this, and feudal system was totally abolished. Alright, so colonized peoples reworked the idea of freedom from bondage. So you should see that people just worked on different strategies. It was a long revolution, it was a long struggle. How did they do that? They stormed into Bastille, then lot of series of sequences took place, and they also got together in clubs, they discussed, and all these things led to the final revolution. So two people who really got influenced by Napoleon or by the revolutionary France specifically were Tipu Sultan and Ram Mohan Roy. They are the two examples of individuals who responded to the ideas coming from revolutionary France. It is not that only these two people were influenced, but all through the other parts of the globe also. So look at this great personality, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, a great eminent philosopher and also freedom struggler of our Bengal Renaissance. You can see the source which is given there beneath the screen, Notes on the Bengal Renaissance 1946. He was one of those who was inspired by new ideas that were spreading through Europe at that time. He was studying on what was happening in Europe, and especially the French Revolution, it caught his attention and he was really excited. And more than that, the July Revolution which set the spark to the Great Reformation. He could think and talk of nothing else when he heard of the July Revolution in France in 1830. He was so fascinated by it. He started writing on it. He started speaking on it. On his way to England at Cape Town, he insisted on visiting frigates, that is warships, flying the revolutionary tricolor flag. So it's with lot of struggle that they designed their flag and they were able to design the national anthem. We saw that, right? So he insisted on seeing this, though he had been temporarily lamed by an accident. In spite of his accident, in spite of the difficulty that he faced physically, that did not really bother him. He wanted to see what was happening here and how the people really faced it. So there are a lot of questions given beneath your textbook. Just the main ones which recap the whole chapter, we will have a look into it. There were some main circumstances leading to the outbreak of revolutionary protest in France, which were there. It is like a summary of the whole book or the whole chapter that we have just now finished, chapter 1 book. Alright, So first thing is the population of France was increasing from 23 million to 28 million, and this led to a rapid increase in all the basic necessities which were like food, grains, the bread and all that. So when there is a great increase in all that, the workers also will have to be paid naturally, but that was not done. They were not given proper wages. So the wages did not keep pace with the rise in prices, and even the weather conditions, like if there was a drought or famine or harvest, completely the whole thing will go down. There was a great trough there. They couldn't even compensate for it because the state or the government, the monarchy never helped them with anything. Then people get privilege based on birth. So that is something which was unfair, because power always decided what kind of benefit they will enjoy, and rights were not given to everybody. There was no equality. Everybody was not treated equally, which led to a great uprising, and people really felt as if they were oppressed, as if they were suppressed inside this great place with lot of revolt. Merchants and manufacturers, the third estate included professions. There were a lot of professions inside this, like lawyers, administrative professions, and all the other professions which were included in the third estate. It was divided into so many parts, the third estate itself, and that also did not have so much of equality, where the businessmen, merchants and manufacturers, they got most of the benefit. All of these were educated, and you can say that they had access to education, they had access to so much of benefit also, and believed that no group in society should be privileged by birth. So thanks that many people did not believe in the privilege of birth. Rather, a person's social position must depend on his merit. So this line is very important, and it's good if you can use it for your long and short answer questions. Then France supported 13 American colonies. So that was something great. It taught the other parts of the world that they can also relieve others during their own bondage. When they themselves were struggling, they could relieve others, and they were able to really work for others and set an example for others. So France supported 13 American colonies to gain independence from Britain, and this war led to scaling debt in France, which burdened the public with new taxes. So when they supported, it of course inspired everybody, but looking at the financial condition of the nation, they were not able to do it, and it was a great burden on the other people also. Then there's another question which is really important. Which groups of French society benefited from the revolution? Which groups were forced to relinquish power? Which sections of society would have been disappointed with the outcome of the revolution? So you know that merchants, lawyers, peasants, all these things were categorized in the third estate, and of course the first and second estate were forced to relinquish power, and by the outcome of the revolution they were not at all happy. Relinquish means to just give up their power, as these people have lost their privileges, were disappointed with the outcome of the revolution. Then another thing is, describe the legacy of the French Revolution for the people of the world during the 19th and 20th centuries. So of course you can say that ideas of liberty, democratic rights, fraternity, everything was encouraged. It just spread across the world. These spread from France to the rest of Europe during the 19th century, and feudal system was abolished. And you can talk about the two great personalities who really were inspired by the ideas from the revolutionary France. Draw up a list of democratic rights we enjoy today which could be traced or which is similar to the French Revolution. The great list is given there: the right to vote, freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, abolition of slavery, right to liberty, right to property, right to security, right to education. Can you see all these things in the Declaration of Rights for Man and Citizen? Some of the democratic rights that we enjoy today, of course, could be traced to the French Revolution. And then, would you agree with the view that the message of universal rights was beset with contradictions? Explain. Women were disappointed that the Constitution of 1791 reduced them to passive citizens. So the question is whether it was applicable to everybody, whether there was a lot of contradiction. They demanded the right to vote, to be elected to the assembly, and also to hold a position in the political office. But what happened? Only then they felt would their interests be represented, but they were ignored. Though they got the right to just go and be a part of it, it was contradicting that freedom, right? Because they were not able to actively participate, and then they also had to struggle and fight for it. So women were ignored in the French Constitution of 1791, and that itself is a major contradiction with the view that the message of universal right. So when they say universal right, it has to be applicable for everybody, but here we can see only men were given the privilege. How would you explain the rise of Napoleon? You can say that he crowned himself, and he was encouraged by many people, but what happened? He went around disposing dynasties and creating kingdoms, but one thing is, he introduced many laws such as the protection of private property and a uniform system of weights and measures provided by the decimal system. So all these points can be included: how he got defeated and how many of his measures carried revolutionary ideas across Europe, and how it actually impacted other people across the other part of the world. So this is like a great lesson which France learned, and also other countries across the globe learned. So this was like, in a nutshell, all the points were put together in a nutshell, and it is good if you will be able to put the points, like for example the main circumstances which led to the outbreak of revolution. They can ask a similar question as, what were the political bodies which were brought together or which were formed that led to a major change and that led to the French Revolution. Okay, the political bodies that led to the formation of a republic, something like that, something similar to that. So you can talk about the Estate General, you can talk about the National Assembly, then you can talk about the Constitution which was formed, and you can also talk about the Convention which was the last one, and then the death of all these Jacobin club leader Louis XVI and all that. So similar questions can be asked, where you have to trace a step towards the Great Revolution and then explain on it.